Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Today we are taking a look at Xander Schauffele's golf swing. I have found a bunch more amazing videos of Xander with pretty much every club, driver, iron, front on, down the line, even some chipping and pitching. So let's dive straight in because we have a lot to take a look at, guys. First of all, we're going to start out with a driver swing. This is a perfect look down the line driver. Xander absolutely bombing driver at Torrey Pines. And first of all, setup, really good setup. I love his posture, his good amount of knee bend, maybe sitting back a little bit, just a little bit. But I love how the arms and the club, there's not too much of an angle there. Keeps kind of a lot of, not much wrist set. I really like to see that, not too much angle between the wrists and the club shaft. Really nice there, good amount of room and space between him and the ball. Alignment is also really great. As we start to slowly take the club away, big wide takeaway, love this. As we pause it, let's pause it parallel to the ground here. That is a takeaway to copy right there. You can't really get too much more width than that in a takeaway. Keeping that club super wide, that face is square to his spine angle. He's pivoted with the lower body, turned the upper body, and that is just a great start to a golf swing. You guys can copy that any day. As we slowly play this to the top, as he takes the club back, he's going to get the club working a little bit behind him as we take it to the top. And if we pause it at the top with the club just hidden behind the hands, there's quite a lot to talk about in this position. We can see a huge amount of pressure and pivot in the lower body. We can see huge pressure into that right side, really using the ground well. You can kind of almost feel the pressure going into that right glute from this position, really pivoting nicely, and big shoulder turn, big coil up with the upper body. It actually looks like, well, first of all, Xander gets his hands above the shoulder plane, and he gets a very that right elbow pretty much at 90 degrees, maybe just under 85 degrees or so. But actually some really interesting things to bear in mind with that left arm. Quite a lot of bow in that left wrist, quite a lot of bow. And also, we can't really see it from this angle, but it looks like there's a bit of bend in that left elbow. That would be quite interesting, and we have some front-on swings we'll be taking a look at in a minute, so stay tuned for that, and we'll take a look at if there is some bend in that left arm at the top of the backswing. But as we take the club down from here, big shallowing move as Xander drops that club in behind, shallows that shaft out, and he gets a little bit deep, a little bit stuck in behind him. He rotates hard, rotates really hard. We can see that right heel really comes up off the ground so early. As we pause it parallel to the ground here, very interesting position. Well, let's work our way from the ground up, guys. So first of all, right heel, it's very, very up off the ground. Right knee and right hip kind of moving a little bit in towards the ball. But he has cleared that left hip, and he's starting to clear the left shoulder, but a lot of curvature in the spine. That right elbow is quite deep, I would say. It's almost like in behind him, which personally I'm not a massive fan of. I would rather he got the right elbow a little bit more in front of him. It's quite difficult from behind. You're typically going to have quite a big release to get that club back out in front of you. And let's see if he does. As we play this down into impact, rotates hard again still with that upper body. If we pause it at impact, it's quite an awkward looking impact position in my eyes, certainly. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. If there's anything you think I missed in this video, I'd love to hear from you. Comment your thoughts down below. But to me, there's a few things that really jump out at me. First of all, that right elbow is still very, very deep. because of this, and also because that right heel's come up off the ground, he has a lot of curvature in the spine. Not very good posture, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And that looks quite uncomfortable to me. Very uncomfortable to me, because I know if I did that in a golf swing, repeated it time after time, I would get very, very bad back pain and very injured very quickly. But as we play this through, in terms of the club looks beautiful here. So we play this through, big release, straight down the line. We can see he extends that right arm so hard down the line as he swings through, and that spine keeps turning and keeps the arms and hands nicely in front of him as he comes through to that finish with huge amounts of extension here. Now let's make our way over to, well, we have quite a few swings to take a look at, so we're going to be as quick as we possibly can, guys. First of all, let's have a look at another driver swing from down the line. We're just going to have a quick look at this and play this through a few times. To me, it looks like Xander's made a big effort to add some shallowness to this golf swing. He's really shallowing the club a lot more than he was in the past, and that's, I don't know if that's trying to hit the ball a bit higher, what that is to do with, maybe a bit less spin, whatever it could be to do with. He's really making an effort to shallow that golf club in behind him, but he's also getting that right elbow so deep that he has to have so much bend in the spine and a huge release after impact in order to kind of get that club back out in front of him. And I'm also not a massive fan of how that right heel comes up off the ground so early in the golf swing, but everyone does it their own way. Justin Thomas does this as well, so, you know, these guys hit the ball hard and they have to generate power somehow, and they really go hard at the ball. Now let's have a look at an iron swing, guys, down the line here. Looks about a 9 iron, maybe 8 iron or so, probably 8 iron. And as we look from here, as Xander takes the club away, perfect position here, another beautiful takeaway. I love his takeaway to parallel to the ground, looks perfect as we take the club to the top. I also love his top of the backswing here with iron, looks really, really good. Love that position, that right elbow again, nice 90 degrees. He's pivoted well with the lower body, big shoulder turn and minimal wrist set. These are all things I really like to see, and he's loaded beautifully into that right side. Not surprising he's got such a good swing because he's one of the best players in the world. Also, hands above the shoulder plane, another thing to mention. Now he's going to drop the hands as he rotates and shallows the club beautifully down onto the ball. If we pause it, let's pause this one at impact, guys. And good position here. He really does have that right elbow kind of still quite deep, but a good amount of rotation, huge rotation with the lower body, but still that curvature in the spine. However, that right heel has not come off the ground quite so early. This is something we see with like Colin Morikawa as well with the irons. He doesn't, as the shorter clubs, he doesn't really get the right heel up off the ground early, but with the longer clubs, he really does. As we play this through, big extension with the arms, keeping that club nicely in front of the chest, and I like to see that, him turning the chest club nicely in front of it. So now, guys, let's have a look at a front-on angle again with iron. And setup here, really nice, good setup. Ball position, pretty much middle of the stance, pretty neutral setup here. As we take the club back, look how wide this takeaway is, guys. If we pause it parallel to the ground, that is a perfect takeaway. Look at that triangle between the arms and his shoulders. That's really, really nice to see. And also nice to see his knees stay pointing towards us as we take it slowly to the top. Keeps those arms nicely in front of the chest and loaded into that right side, that right hip. Also, not much. We can see from this position how little wrist set he has, how little hinge there is in the wrist, and I really like to see this because it means you're going to keep the club wider on a wider swing arc. It will be easier to control the low point of the golf swing, which is obviously really important. We can also see from this position He does have a little bit of bend in that left arm, just a little bit, which isn't too surprising considering how bowed the left wrist is. Typically players, it's hard to bow the left wrist without bending the arm as well. It's hard to keep it completely straight and bow it. Typically, if you see a little bit of bow, there might also be a little bit of bend in the left elbow. Also, Brooks Koepka does that a little bit. But as we start to swing down, guys, we're going to see huge weight shift onto the left side. Big weight shift towards the ball before he then starts to rotate and drop the club down in front of him. And club shaft shallows, big wide arc as well as we come in to the ball here. If we pause it at impact here, perfect position, keeps those hands nicely ahead of the ball, compressing the ball but coming through really shallow as well. He's done that with that width and shallowness of the downswing. We can see how rotated his hips are towards the target, but actually his chest isn't that open. It's not nearly as open as his lower body, but we can see how much pressure from this position he's putting through that left heel into the ground as he swings through the ball, extends those arms really hard, coming through with his balance and weight on that left side, swinging through, keeping the arms nicely in front of the chest as he swings through to that nice finish position, guys. So now let's take a look and mix it up for just a second. We're going to have a look at Xander playing a kind of, I don't know what you call it. Well, basically a pitch shot out of this rough. It's not quite a flop shot, but definitely a pitch shot out of this thick rough at Torrey Pines, guys. And it is so thick you can't even see the club head of the down at the ball here. So let's note a few things. Stance is quite open, not surprising there because it's really thick rough. He needs to open this face, he hasn't laid the shaft down flat. He wants to keep that upright so the heel of the club doesn't dig into the ground. So a bit open with the stance. As he takes the club back, keeps the club nice low to the ground. Actually keeps the club quite inside, quite interesting here. As we pause at top of the backswing, big wide swing again, like to see that. The shoulders really driving the golf swing, even with a pitch shot, especially with a pitch shot, really important. Also minimal wrist set, like to see that as well. Big wide swing arc. As we start to play it down, it's going to let that club in hands drop straight down onto the ball, onto the back of the ball. We can see just pops it up nicely, kind of cuts across it a little bit to keep the loft on the club face and sends that ball straight up into the air. Let's just play this through once or twice, and it's a really good look. Xander is actually really good around the greens, really good chipper and pitcher of the golf ball. So, but actually probably a bit underrated in this category. I don't hear a lot of people talking about his kind of chipping and pitching or his short game overall, but he is really, really good, and you can see even in this thick rough, giving him no real issues whatsoever. So now, guys, let's take a look at Xander. What should we take a look at next? So many things. Let's take a look at a bunker shot from Xander. First of all, we're going to have a look at a bunker shot from down the line. Then we're going to have a look at a bunker shot from front on. Now, let's take a look. Here, he's a few interesting things to point out. With bunker shots, there's typically two types of players. Players who cut across the ball, who open up their stance and cut across it, which can generate more spin on the ball, or players who have a more neutral path and get the ball more rolling like a putt. It's quite interesting because Pete Cowan, one of the best short game coaches in the world, he's a massive advocate of the second method, standing more square to it, getting the ball rolling more like a putt, instead of opening up the stance so much. But Xander is definitely one of the first. Well, he seems to be one of the first because here he is playing onto a slight downslope as well, and he has to play this ball left of his target. We can see that white disc on the green there, so he has to aim himself left of this. As he takes the club back, he's obviously going to be bringing it back up in front of him outside because he needs to cut across this and very open club face, and then he's going to let it drop down onto the ball, keeping the loft on it and big splash of sand as he digs that ball out of there, and that ball rolls out quite a lot to the hole. So now let's take a look at a bunker shot from front on, and we're going to notice a few other really interesting things here. First of all, huge amount of weight on Xander's left side at address. Now this is exactly what you want. You want like probably 60-65% of your weight on your left side, well, your front side. So if you're left-handed, it would be your right side, but on that front side, this enables you to basically create come down a little bit steeper onto the ball and create a better low point, because you've put that ball a little bit further forwards in your stance, a little bit wider stance, and you really want to be coming down kind of underneath the ball, coming down into the sand. So a lot of weight there. As we take this club back, again, big wide swing, not a huge amount of wrist set even for a bunk shot. If we pause it at the top, good position there, arms, hands nicely in front of the chest, like to see that. That ball position also isn't actually that far forward. It's actually kind of just ahead of middle of the stance. Quite interesting. It could be he's trying to hit a longer bunk shot here, or he's trying to hit maybe something slightly lower, more running, whatever it is. As he comes down, he's going to shift more weight onto that left side through the ball as he drops that club down and comes underneath the ball, releasing the hands underneath the ball, and big wide swing arc on the way through. Let's just play that through one more time for you guys. Big wide swing arc on the backswing. As he comes down, shifts more weight across, comes underneath the ball, releasing hard with the hands and arms. Really, really good look there at Xander Schauffele, bunk technique. So guys, that is pretty much all we have to look at today. There's some really good looks there of Xander with driver from front on and down the line, guys. Some really good looks at Xander's swing. I absolutely love this swing. There's a lot to like about Xander's swing. Some of my favorite things, I mean, setup is really good, guys. A few other things to note. I love the width he keeps in the takeaway, in the backswing, and in the downswing. He maintains that width really nicely. I like how little wrist set he has. He doesn't have much wrist set even at the top of the swing. Doesn't have much lag on the way down, guys. Lag isn't always what you want. Something really important to understand there. A lot of players want to create a lot of lag. Lag isn't always your friend. You want to create more width, not narrowness in your golf swing. The wider the swing arc, the bigger the swing arc, the bigger the circle, the faster the outside of the circle is going to be moving, guys. And it's going to be easier to control that low point, easier to control the low point in the golf swing to strike that ball consistently. But let me know what you guys think of Xander's swing. What do you think of his driver swing, iron swing? Is there anything I missed at all that you felt is important in his swing? Comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'll reply to all of your comments, so let me know. Make sure to give this a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know whose golf swing you want to see next. Is there any other golf swings you want to see me talk about? Any other swing questions you have, I'd be happy to answer. And as always, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Grip it and rip it, guys.